Hello, friends of Maine's breweries, wineries, and distilleries, and all the great businesses around the state of Maine that are working with and supporting that industry. My name is Don Littlefield, and welcome to another virtual tour presented by the Maine Brew Bus. I'm going to be your guide today, and this is episode 17 of our virtual tour series. And we're going to do something a little bit different today. This is what we're calling Open Lines. It's kind of like an open, free-form radio show where we don't actually have a scheduled guest for this half hour, but we're willing to talk to you if you're willing to talk to us. If you would like to chat with us about what's going on in your business, whether it be a brewery, a winery, or distillery, or it could be an affiliated business. Maybe you're a farmer or a supplier, distributor, a restaurant, bar, anything that's kind of focused and supporting the craft beer industry. We're looking to talk to you. Producing today behind the scenes is Mr. Greg Klein, as he is so often helping us to make these look and sound good. We now have all 16 editions up on our website for viewing on YouTube, as well as downloading as a podcast. And thanks an awful lot to Greg for making that happen and making everything sound so good. So we are working with some of the guilds, associations, and destination marketing organizations to get more folks involved, to tell their story to us here, and for us to share that with all of you who are enjoying these virtual tours. It's been about 5,000 people that have watched some or all of these tours, these individual tours. And of course, they're really just conversations. We're talking with the owners and the people that are working to make sure that their businesses stay viable, that they are able to address the customers in new ways, deliver their products in new methods that previously were untested, and also to make sure that they're positioned in a great way to move forward when the time comes, making sure that everything is safe, sanitary, and so forth. So these virtual tours have been a great way for people to connect with us and to connect with the general public. So I see some folks already. Northeast Cycle, Pete, DJ. I know he's a DJ locally here who's been impacted. Pete, we can chat with you. I know you know Greg as well. We've got some folks. Dave Champa has just joined. Hello, Dave. The other thing I want to mention is Car Hop, who's supporting these virtual tours. I just counted up. They have nearly 40 different locations now that you can get craft alcohol from. And not just craft alcohol, they also have different retail stores that are offering a large amount of their inventory to be available through Car Hop for delivery to your home, and it's convenient for you. So 40 different places. A lot of those are breweries, they're wineries, they're distilleries here locally. And you can use promo code BrewBus to save 50% off the already low delivery fee to get products from Car Hop. You can visit them at carhopme.com and tell them the BrewBus sent you. Okay, so let's say hi to a few more folks. M Diamond 49 has joined. Hello, thanks for joining us today. And also CKR 15, Mick Mom X6, Mick Mom times 6, I guess is what that is. Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'll tell you a little bit about what's happening with the Maine Brew Bus. Of course, we're monitoring all the situations, or this situation, and all of the guidance and mandates that were currently in effect, and we're seeing what will happen going forward. And we're being cautiously optimistic in terms of we're hoping that we'll be able to resume some sort of service in the next couple of months. So what that will mean is we're not immediately going to have all of our buses out on the road doing all of the tours that we normally would be doing this time of year. We'll have a limited amount of space tours, but we'll have an increased amount of open air tours, small group tours, so think walking tours, biking tours, running tours, and an expansion of tours that we were already offering by boats, and not large ferry boats or anything like that, but small capacity sailboats and small power boats. So that will enable us to have a variety of different options that will be smaller groups, and we'll be able to increment and step in time as different levels and limitations are changed. It also will enable us to flex should things go back the other way. And if we need to suspend service again, obviously we will. So that's what we've been working on behind the scenes. This has obviously been a very tough time for us, not being able to do in-person tours like we normally do. But we've been doing these virtual tours. We've also been active in selling gift cards. We have a whole merchandise store that some folks have found their way to. That's a great way to support us now. Really, the gift cards is probably the best way, because the gift cards in Maine, they never expire. So you can purchase a gift card now and you can use it for a future tour. You could give it to a friend. You could donate it to a frontline worker if you wish. But any way you do that helps us now, because obviously there's not a lot of revenue coming in now with no tours actually happening. So those are some of the ways that you can support the Maine Brew Bus. We do intend to come out of this with some good options, safe options that will connect people in new ways to the craft brewing, winemaking, and distilling operations that we have in the state, as well as do a little bit more in the history and on the the different facilities we have around Portland that are able to be walked to in small groups. So that's a little taste of what's to come in Brew Bus. And obviously, like I said, off the top, we're just waiting to see what the indications are and what the limitations might be going forward. Jenny says we had the best time on our walking tour back in September. Awesome. Glad to hear that, Jenna. So that's something that works pretty well in Portland. Obviously we're a port town, so there's some areas that are low-lying. There are a couple hills in Portland as well, but we would design a tour that would not be that intensive in terms of physical exertion and wouldn't cover a whole lot of distance. We're not talking multiple miles. These are not long-distance hikes, but could also talk about the history, about Prohibition, talk about different aspects of what's happening in terms of architecture after the Great Fire, as well as what's happening in the liquid scene. So it might be a historic pub crawl. It could be talking about some of the key places of Prohibition. It could be tracing the steps of the Great Fire. But these are Brew Bus tours, so you can be assured that there will be there'll be liquid along the way, liquid refreshment and liquid encouragement. So look for those coming forward. And Jen Ruby, we appreciate you saying hey and joining us here. You're watching a Maine Brew Bus virtual tour. My name is Don Littlefield. I'm your guide today. Working a little bit without a net. We have no scheduled guest. This is kind of an open lines version. We hope to do these every once in a while to just see what happens and to have people from Maine, from the industry that are affiliated with craft beverages in one way or the other, to join us and to tell a little bit about their story. Let's see, what else is happening? So I've had some opportunity to try a bunch of different beers around town. And today in my glass, I have this beautiful beer here. And what this is, a lot of you probably know this one. It's Preble. It's a raspberry sour. I know that's backwards, but you probably recognize that from Four River Brewing Company. So a nice low alcohol raspberry sour beer, which is delicious. And that seems to help a little bit, clear the throat a little bit. So Greg Klein, as I said, he's our group sales coordinator for the Maine Brew Bus. He's also been working behind the scenes to produce these shows and to do some work for us to make sure that we're getting our message out in new ways. And let's talk to Greg for a little bit and see what's happening with him. Well, hi, Greg.
How are you?
How's it going? I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
We haven't seen each other. We've been talking all exclusively by electronic messaging. Haven't seen each other for quite a while, so yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome.
What do you think of this open lines concept? Kind of a roulette of sorts.
It's great. I think it's super fun. I mean, because it's a great way to get people to stay engaged and just say hello and ask questions directly. And if you can't go on a tour physically, no better way to do it than to call in or video in and say hi in person and ask your questions. So that's great. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I've also upgraded my background here. I've got a flat background. So that's easy for me to say. Flat black background. So what do you think about that? Yeah,
I think it looks good. Yeah, you don't see the wrinkles as much, so I think it works out perfect. I've got this monstrosity of a weird fireplace thing behind me that the previous owners of the house built. It's all stone, and we're not removing it because it's too big. So that's what's behind me and all of our tasty drinks. So
it looks like there's jade plants behind you as well. Is that true?
Oh, they're plants. My wife has about 40 or so orchids in the house right now because they're too cold to be outside.
Nice.
But
Nice.
so they're everywhere. But yeah, then we got all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of stuff back there. I see Brewery Extrava has just joined, so hello to them, and just let them know what we're doing is what we're calling open lines. So Brewery Extrava, if you'd like to join the broadcast, go ahead and request, and I'll drop Greg temporarily. We'll talk to see what's happening with Brewery Extrava. We did chat with them in a couple of weeks ago, and maybe there's been some changes to what they're doing, and certainly they've probably been working on making changes as well. So we invite them to join if they are up for that. In the meantime, Greg, how was your weekend?
My weekend, is it the weekend? What's today? Monday? I guess I had a
Today's
weekend.
Monday.
Today's Monday. It's kind of blurring. No, it's been good. I mean, I did a lot of housework and stuff today and made some more beef jerky. It's been getting better at making pizza at home, buying dough. And I've never been great at tossing pizza dough, so I'm getting much better at that.
You're practicing
you said I'm practicing getting better and not poking holes in it. And you said you used to are still really like baking. You said you made some sourdough bread or something recently.
Yeah, I did. I made a really nice loaf of sourdough bread over the weekend, and there's a little bit of a story to that. So the actual sourdough starter is not one that I started, but it's actually one that I got from our friends over at Foundation Brewing Company. So Tina and John Bonney had a sourdough starter that they've had for a number of years. And a number of people around the city, around the area, have been gifted little parts of their sourdough starter. So it's pretty hardy and rugged, and it works really well. So I made my best ever loaf of artisan sourdough bread over the weekend, and we're enjoying that right now. And I can't wait to make another loaf coming up. So
nice. I've been using the Portland pie dough, the pre-made stuff, with the with SHIPYARD beer. Though I'm not sure what beer it is, but I like it. It's very tasty and works out great.
Don't ask questions.
Perfect.
They've got take and bake kits that are available not only at their stores but also at two different breweries that I'm aware of. So both SHIPYARD and Allagash, that's part of what you can order from their either pickup or delivery options. So I've seen that you can order the Portland Pie take and bake packages. So everything's right there, all ready to go, and that's kind of cool.
Very convenient.
Yeah.
And I swung by Geary's Brewing a while back and picked up a case of Fortnite, which is pretty tasty. It's relatively new, a couple weeks. I think they released it. American Pale Ale, very good. Kind of beautiful. If you like IPAs, you would probably like this. It's it's really very drinkable, very tasty, and a pretty cool label. Wow.
Well, Greg, gonna drop you here for a little bit. Brewery Extrava has let us know that they're able to join us for a few minutes, so we'll be back to you towards the end of the broadcast. So
I'll be here.
Sound good? All right. See you in a little bit. All right. So our friends at Brewery Extrava have a little bit of time to join us, so let me get them connected with us here.
Howdy.
Well, hey, Joe. How are you?
How are you? I'm great. Let me see if I can get this situated a little bit better.
You're doing great. You're our first official guest on our open lines version of our virtual tours. So
move on to it.
I appreciate you taking a few minutes with us.
Yeah, no problem. I was just walking by, force of habit. I'm always just checking Instagram, and I saw it, and I haven't seen you guys in a while, so I thought I'd check in.
How are you and Charlene doing?
We're fine. I mean, like everybody, going a little stir crazy. Starting to pick off some projects around the house, and keeping busy. But it seems a lot of repetitive type of things, right? You can't. The number of things you have access to that you can do is quite limited now. But
yeah, for sure.
Bike rides and trying to hit the beach now and again with the dog, and it's kind of an interesting. It forces you back to sort of the basics, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Going through this.
What I've been finding is that I've been making food that I could use 2 or 3 different times. So a whole chicken becomes a chicken dinner, becomes a chicken salad. Then I made chicken stock yesterday, and that will become a soup perhaps tomorrow. So that's definitely like frontier living, right?
Yes, same. And we've been, sort of watching, of course, like a lot of people, you sort of start binge watching shows. So as we watch these cooking shows, like Chopped, where they give you four ingredients and you have to figure out what you're going to do with them, we've sort of been doing that with the leftovers in the house. So,
oh, sure.
Yeah, it's been, you try and find fun in whatever you can.
Now, literally, are you turning them into challenges?
We haven't gone that far, but we've sort of my son not so much, but Charlene and I and my daughter's been home from college, and whoever has what we think is the best idea, all right, we let them run with it and see what they come up with. So,
awesome.
It's been fun. Yeah.
Oh, fun. You mentioned bike rides as well, so that's something that I like to do. My wife and I like to do that both. But we found that the winds have been a little challenging these days. So the temperature's been fine, but the winds have been challenging.
Yeah, they have. And we went for a bike ride yesterday, and the wind was coming off the water, and we're down at Pine Point. And so no matter which direction, it seemed like it was blowing against us in both directions, going down to Old Orchard and back. But it's just nice to be outside. The wind off the water. Yeah, it's definitely nice to be outside. The wind off the water. It basically. So I live in the west end of Portland. We're able to go across the Veterans Bridge and out the Greenbelt out towards Wainwright Field, and that's headwinds all the way. And if we were super motivated to challenge the headwinds, we'd continue on to Higgins Beach and then come back in, through Cape Elizabeth. But the winds have been too aggressive, so we've been basically turning on Highland, letting the wind push us right down Highland, and eventually right across the Casco Bay Bridge in top gear because the wind's whipping at your back and pushing you right across. That's been kind of fun. So I have a question for you. The last time I think I sat in on one of these, you were talking about being in quarantine. Right? You just got back from Ireland, and so you're done with that now. And
done with that, yeah. We got back on the 17th on St. Patrick's Day. A very weird day to leave Dublin, arrive in Boston, and transport up to Portland with no Irishness going on at all. It was a very quiet day, actually. So we had a mandatory 14-day quarantine, and of course, basically everybody else sort of went into quarantine at that time as well. But we just regarded ourselves as being an official one, and we made sure not to do any of the curbside pickup or any place where we could possibly interact with people. So we're out of that now, but still being pretty cautious, as I think everybody is, in limiting our exposure outside around people. So
it's trying to. I mean, it's becoming sort of natural now. I notice when I go out somewhere, I go to the store. You don't even have to think about it. You just reach for the gloves. Reach for the mask. You're sort of trying to keep your distance from everybody. It's becoming a little bit more second nature. But I've tried to, like yourself, avoid. It's sort of like I go to the grocery store, I come home, and I have to shower and change. Right?
Yeah. Right.
You almost feel creeped out.
Yeah.
It's a very strange. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but.
No, I don't think you're wrong. We ordered pizza from a local restaurant, Pizziolo, yesterday, and then we, opening the box, we're like, wait, we just touched the box. Let's wash our hands before we eat this delicious pizza. So it seems a little over the top, but it's all in abundance of caution. So
I think we'll all learn a lot in the next month or so, right? Not only about what we need to do and maybe what's not quite as important, but I think they're learning a lot more about this virus, and that'll start to come out more and sort of align our behaviors and maybe quell some of the fears we have. Hopefully, and get on with life, get on with making beer, and back to doing brew tours again, which would be great.
Well, in the meantime, let's talk about what's happening at Brewery Extrava. So we talked with Michael a couple of weeks back, and I think you're still essentially on that same course. You're doing can sales to go. You're doing some curbside pickup. That's Friday and Saturday, 12 to 6. Yep. And any other aspect of what you're doing that's changed in the past couple of weeks?
Well, like most businesses, we're pretty much looking at everything we do and reevaluating its importance, its relevance. Are there some things we should be thinking about differently?
Yeah.
So Michael and I had a long conference call this morning and went through all of those things. Probably the biggest changes for us have just been around starting to think about, even though we don't have strong guidance on it, what does reopening look like? Everything from seating plans to service area, starting to go through that. I think like a lot of other breweries, thinking about what are some projects we can do in and around the tasting room of the brew house to sort of spruce the place up, maybe give it a fresh coat of paint, make it, so when customers come back, they go, wow, they actually did something in the last 8 weeks. And then,
so like an example of that might be, you've spent a lot of time, and I know I've talked with both of you and Michael about the conscious design of the seating in the tasting room, but maybe removing a lot of that, if not all of that, is probably one of the things you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, right around the time we went into the shutdown, 5 weeks ago, we had already started to remove seats, right? Because everybody was talking about social distancing, and at the time, I think there was still a thought that, well, maybe we can operate at some reduced capacity. So we, in fact, about half of our seating, the 4 top tables, is out back now, and so we're thinking about that a little bit more, and and then also things like, we really haven't brewed beer since, for the last month. So we're gearing up. We had some things in the planning, and we're like, let's see how this thing sort of goes over the next month.
Yeah.
We're in a pretty good position in that we had just brewed, I think five 10-barrel batches of beer to sort of get ready for spring, and we were planning on canning, getting it out to distribution, and we kind of just caught the canning run right. So we hadn't put much of anything in kegs. So we were very fortunate.
Wow.
We were able to adjust our canning plans so that we essentially just canned more beer, and then what we had left over sitting in the serving tanks, which is the best place for it right now. We can,
right.
As far as it being consistent temperature, no exposure to oxygen. So, and then just this morning we started to talk about we've got some beer sitting in barrels, and we also have a Russian Imperial Stout that we had brewed for St. Patrick's Day, and so we're starting to finalize plans to get that into bottles. So what you'll be seeing from us over probably that first weekend in May 1st, will probably be our first bottle release, which will be a Russian Imperial Stout. That's kind of what we're targeting. It's not written in stone. And then if that goes well, because we don't have a bottling line, being a new brewery, so we're fortunate. We've got a growler filler that will essentially allow us to fill carbonated, bottles, just like a single head pressurized bottling line. So we're kind of thinking about how we use that to do the bottling. Of course, concern around quality, so we're going to do some testing. But if that goes well, then the thought is we'll start to do the barrel-aged beers next, and we've got a couple of blended quads that we'll do hopefully by the middle of May. Yeah.
That's amazing. And so what was once a St. Patrick's Day beer will be a different beer, but might be the first offering you have available in bottles, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, so we're calling it our May Day beer, right? Which is kind of fitting, being a Russian Imperial Stout, right?
It's not a Bock, but it's back. Something like that,
exactly, yeah.
Well, Joe, I appreciate you taking a few minutes with us and giving us a little update. Brewery Extrava, it must be breweryextrava.com. And as we said earlier, that they are available for curbside pickup just Friday and Saturday. Is that correct?
Friday and Saturday. In May, we'll probably go Thursday through Sunday. But for the rest of this month, just Friday, Saturday. Yep, 12 to 6.
That's awesome.
Hey,
awesome.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate you joining us. We'll catch you next time.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. So
that's the way it works. basically it's a open line. So we're willing and able to chat with anybody that's willing and able to chat with me. So I've seen a couple of folks that have been watching at one point. So I will invite either Adrian or Chiara, if either one of you are willing to speak with me for just a couple minutes about what's happening in your world. Just give me a little thumbs up, then I'll connect you to the broadcast. This is open line, so it's basically just taking a few minutes with no scheduled guests and just having an open method for people to chat with us about what's happening with their businesses, their industries, or their positions. My friend Jill from Uncorked, New Brunswick, which is a tour operator in New Brunswick, shocker. She's been doing a bunch of virtual tours, kind of patterned after what we have been doing here, and she's introduced a virtual tasting option as well, and is in the midst of opening a kind of a tap house or a tap area, I would say, at the City Market in St. John, New Brunswick. So that's pretty interesting. You can follow them on Instagram, uncorked_NB, uncorked NB, Uncorked New Brunswick. All right, Chiara, I'm coming to you for just a couple minutes. Stand by. Hi, Chiara.
Hi.
Hi. Good news. I think it's just you and I right now, so there's nobody else seemingly watching.
Oh, where's everyone?
Well, we did this as kind of a little surprise. So this is you might have heard me say, it's called Open Lines. We have no scheduled guests, so we just kind of see who joins us and who's willing to talk, and that way we get some different perspective in an unscripted sort of way. So we enjoy doing these virtual tours. It's just been tough to schedule people because they're being pulled in so many directions right now. So,
yep. Yep. So,
yeah,
no kidding. I work in tourism and there's no tourism. So basically what I've been doing is answering business answers, like people, writing and sending us emails and leaving voicemails about like, am I essential? Am I not essential? Can I go visit my grandmother in Camden? And I live in Massachusetts. Can I go open the door to the plumber in my house in Kittery and stuff like that? Yeah. So, it's been interesting. Yeah. I've been talking to maybe like 40, 50 people a day, and people want answers now. But, things change every day, and we don't have all the answers yet.
Yeah. Chiara, what is your actual position with the Maine Office of Tourism? I know it's different today, but
it's something like project development officer, which means everything and nothing. But basically, I work with tour operators. I do group sales. I work on itineraries for tour operators, and I also work with the wedding and events industry in Maine.
Yeah. And you've been a little bit of as you said, kind of a judgment person on what's essential and what's not essential. So that must be really tough to hear stories that are compelling and that pull at your heart, but they are just not compelling cases enough for essential businesses.
Right. And I mean, if they think that they are essential, they can always request that, right? There's a website on Maine.gov, and and people can try to request that, and they'll get an answer in like a week or so, Mm-hmm. But, it's been a little difficult saying no to people, hence the breakouts. So it's been a little difficult, and there are a lot of gray areas. It's not just yes or no.
Do you, I was going to say, I'm not going to ask you for any timelines because none of us know that, but do you find that the people you're talking to in hospitality and tourism are generally upbeat? Are they positive about the future, or are they negative about the future?
They're uncertain about the future, and this uncertainty is bringing people down a little. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we can't tell when this is going to peak and when it's going to slow down. And, are people, when we are allowed to go out and start traveling again, are people really going to go away from home? Yeah. I think it's going to be a slow process. It's going to be, I think a lot of Mainers are going to stay in Maine.
Well, and that's the benefit of Maine, or one of the many benefits, is that Maine is so diverse, and you can do mountains, you can do sea, you can do country, forest, you can go to Aroostook County, you can go to a lot of different places and explore parts of Maine that you've never been to. So I've been telling people it's a great time for that bucket list of places that you've always wanted to visit. And there will be a time coming up where you can do that in great weather, by the way.
Right, exactly. Better weather. In fact, that's what we're working on. We're working on new itineraries in state.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And it's something that we're working on as well. I was telling the folks at the beginning of the hour that we're developing more small group and open air sort of experiences, more walking tours, basically, so that people don't feel like they're confined in a bus with a bunch of other people. They could be just themselves or their neighbors or people that they haven't seen for a while, their family, and still have a good experience with expert guides, just in a different format. So we think that will actually appeal to a lot of residents of Maine as well.
Totally. Definitely.
Right.
I mean, we always say, we're going to go out and we do day trips and stuff like that, but sometimes we don't have time to. But I think this year is a good year to start that.
Yep.
I personally don't want to go to New York. I personally don't want to go to Massachusetts. Like, I'd rather just stay in state and, fingers crossed, anything happens. I got my doctor here.
Now, you and I both want to go to Italy this summer. Is that off, do you think? You don't want to talk about it. She has a lot of family there, so yeah.
It's off, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm kind of crossing my fingers for maybe December, like Christmas time.
Oh,
but
that sounds nice.
Not holding my breath on that one either.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking a couple of minutes and giving us a little perspective from your role and how it's changed. And I just want to thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for your little comments that I see through social media, which are generally upbeat, positive, and always. And I appreciate that. So
thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Hopefully. Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Chiara.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Oh, that was fun. Chiara from the Maine Office of Tourism giving a little perspective on her new role of figuring out who is essential and who is not essential, which is an interesting thing, the time period, basically, at all. So I'm going to bring Mr. Greg Klein back in, and we'll wrap up our first open lines version of the Maine Brew Bus virtual tour. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Dawn. I'm still here.
Yes, you are. It's now it's just you and me, I think, again. But what did you think of that? Did you learn anything there?
I did. It's just great to get some more perspectives, to hear from Joe and just to see kind of how they're doing since we talked to him last. Thoughts moving ahead. I think the last time we talked to him was, 2 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah, about 2 weeks, yeah.
Just to see the progression and to see how people are adapting. And just learning a little bit from, tourism, Maine Office of Tourism, and just kind of, because it's clearly affecting everybody. It's just good to see how people are adapting and changing, and everyone seems to be pretty positive, though cautious. But step by step, one day at a time, we'll get through it.
Absolutely true. Well, we hope to do more of these open lines going forward. So an opportunity in the future where you'd be able to share your thoughts. So, Greg, how do people schedule a time to be on a virtual tour with the Maine Brew Bus?
Well, it's quite simple, really. I guess there's a couple of ways to do it. You can just, on Instagram, send us a message. It's the Maine Brew Bus. Yep. If you're watching right now, you'll see it. Just send us a message and say, hey, I want to be part of your next virtual tour. That's easy. I guess you could send an email to Dawn yourself, dawn@themainbrewbus.com. That would probably be really simple, too. I think those are the two best methods. Is there another one?
There's an even better method now. I developed a new one. So at the bottom of our virtual tours page on the Maine Brew Bus, there's a request form. So if you'd like to schedule a time, these are interviews. So it's just basically booking an interview. You pick the time and date that works for you, and pick an alternate time and date, and most likely you'll have your request granted, and we'll get you on the program and start promoting your appearance as well. So that's themainbrewbus.com/virtual-tours. Also, that's where you go if you enjoyed this conversation that we've had with Greg Klein, Joe Doherty, and Chiara from the Maine Office of Tourism. You can throw your support by throwing a little tip in the tip bucket. It's a virtual tip bucket. It doesn't even go crying, unfortunately, but it does help to support our endeavors to bring you this information and the stories from the business owners that are seeing their businesses through these. So, excuse me. So the tip bucket, never expected, always appreciated, and we will match any donation, or we'll match any gratuity with a gift card of the equal value. If you throw a gratuity of $100 in, you'll have a $100 gift card coming your way, good for any future tour. And then, speaking of gift cards, that's another great way to support us, as is merchandise and sharing this information about our Maine Brew Bus virtual tours. Right there, the Maine Brew Bus, Portland, Maine. It every little bit helps us to keep going, and we're excited to bring you these in an effort to share information. Got a couple of other things in the works. Greg and I have been scheming behind the scenes and some new stuff, so look for some new offerings coming up. You also might have caught that our own Tom Major has been going around the city providing little snippets of information in front of our partners, talking about what it's like when we do go there and what to look forward to when we return. So you'll see a new one of those every day at about noontime. Those are called Tour with Major Tom. It's a series as well. So, Greg, anything else from you?
No, this is great. Keep it up. Let's keep talking to people and say hello. Please do. Drop us a line. Do.
Exactly. Well, we thank you for your support of the Maine Brew Bus virtual tour. And until we speak again, be well. And as Tom says, make good choices and drink local beer. Greg, thanks for your help.
You're welcome.
Cheers.
Cheers.